There is a well-known saying that goes, "Always give the hardest job to the laziest person because they will find the easiest way to do it." What are some real-life examples of this? I knew a guy who was given the job of checking all the dead link reports. Most were timeouts. Only a few were actual dead links or broken uploads. The job used to take most of the day. Manually checking them all. He spent all weekend coding a program that filtered out the timeouts, making the job a 30-minute thing instead. Me. I am an example of that. Hey, we need these 300 different things printed out, normally done all manually one by one. Did some fandangling and got it into a PDF to print everything. Setting boundaries is a good way I've found, tbh. People hate doing the work themselves. So if you give them a firm deadline and say, after date you're responsible for doing it yourself, you can get everything in and done way quicker. I have to admit that responsible but lazy people are my go-to people if I want to get anything done. Especially the ones that get stressed out when they have things to do on their plate. They're just engines of productivity. Me. Worked for a college. I was supposed to go through the data of students who register for orientation every 24 hours. The process was quite manual. Download the file. Copy and paste emails. About 100 to 500 emails at once. And if there's any error in students' email, Outlook would crash. I ended up automating the system. Download the file. Link the file with my automation process and run it once. Sends email to all of them, and the report of email with errors would be sent to my personal email. Upon process completion. Another thing was to add all those students to Microsoft Teams. The only official way is to copy their email and paste them, one by one, manually. Downloaded a Chrome extension and added thousands of students within minutes. Saved hours of work. Years ago at about 4:30 in the afternoon, my boss came to me with this big, poorly formatted Word document of several dozen category names and a few hundred subcategory names. That all needed to be in the database by the next morning. He offered me a $60 gift certificate to a really nice local restaurant if I stayed late and did it. I pasted the whole thing into Excel and wrote an Excel script to pass it out into two different sheets. One with the categories and giving each an ID number. The second with the subcategories and the ID number from the parent category. From there I was easily able to copy and paste them directly into the database as two tables. The whole thing took like 20 minutes to get the script working correctly. I still got the gift certificate. 2. It's kinda funny how laziest people put in the most work to get the things going. Making this statement a paradox. Smart plus lazy plus ability to code equals easy street. My advice from my crazy asked, God love her, grandmother was to never let anyone know how capable you are, because then they expect more open mouth smile. Moderating shower thoughts. It's genuinely difficult to decide what is interesting or unique to a wide swathe of culturally diverse users. So they've outsourced it to shitty NLP and poorly conceived keyword searches and left the manual approval mechanism to unpaid volunteers with more time than sense. The result is a race to the bottom for originality. Reminds me of something I read on the internet. Give a stoner some weed but no way to smoke it and they'll become MacGyver. Went to camp and one of the activities was to race someone in parkour. The only rule was, whoever presses the button at the end first wins. So one if the kids finishes the parkour in like 5 minutes. Now it's my sister's turn. She proceeds to just simply run next to the course to the end and press the button. The supervisor that saw this was like 17. And seeing a 9-year-old outsmart everyone like that blew his mind. She got a small bag of candy. And was nice enough to share. I love my sister. I wasn't allowed to drill into my walls in my college dorm. I built a 2x4 self-supporting frame on the walls to hold a hammock and a counterweighted dartboard on pulleys so I could play darts in the hammock and pull the dartboard back to me to remove the darts. That was a lot of work to be lazy as fuck the rest of the year. There was an old business case where individual boxes containing a tube of toothpaste were getting sent to stores empty. Corporate puts together a team to fix this. They come up with an expensive idea to build a system that will weigh the boxes to identify the empty ones. Corporate then notices that there are no complaints of empty boxes out of one of the factories. Corporate send a team to investigate how this is happening. At the end of the conveyor belt is an industrial fan that is blowing the empty boxes off the belt and into a container. Production guy says, corporate said they were tired of empty boxes getting shipped out. So we took care of it. Quote, I once received a feedback comment from my department head in an annual review. We need more smart lazy people like me. Quote, me. I've automated a lot of my data processing work just using Excel. Drop the data into one worksheet. Let another worksheet convert it. Pick up the results from a third worksheet. What used to take my coworkers days to do takes me about 30 minutes. I'm sure there are more efficient or effective ways to do the same thing. But I'm happy with Excel. I don't want to program myself out of a job.